And welcome back to EventTech Live Las Vegas. I am joined by Leslie from Open Audience. Leslie, welcome to the bonus stage.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No worries. So I'm very interested to learn how Open Audience can help our audience at home, but event planners and perhaps agencies engage with some of the awesome tech that we're seeing here at EventTech Live. Give us a quick headline for me.
Okay, so I think as audience engagement, we classify ourselves as audience engagement experts. We basically deliver interactive technologies at live, hybrid, and virtual events, and we've got a real mix, but we deliver from East Coast Australia to West Coast USA. And it's kind of like, I feel that we're kind of like event alchemists in a way where it's about using the amazing technology that we've seen here and thinking about, ideally you want a bit of everything, but not one single technology platform delivers everything. So I think where we are as a consultancy or an agency is a bit like an independent financial advisor. When you know you want a mortgage, it's kind of like, well, have you got a deposit? Have you got a fixed term? Do you want an interest rate that variables? Do you want a pet mortgage? How long do you want to do it? Do you want to part share it and everything else? So I go off and as an agency and effectively research the market and might come back and offer my technology, somebody else's, but ultimately it'll be the right technology for you, but it'll be the right technology based on expected outcomes, your budgets, your preferences, your insight, and I'll tell you what technology I think you need to have as a client.
Okay, that's cool. So essentially what we're talking about, and we've talked a lot about this on the bonus stage in the last few days, a couple of days, is about how to just increase your ROI at kind of every step, whether that's for the attendees, for the delegates, and if engagement is one of those key elements of that amongst the other things that you guys do, that's really interesting, and it's about how you make the most out of every bit of tech.
I think it is, but I mean, I think one of the things that you often find, especially if you're working with event planners, is that everyone has a unique understanding and experience of their industry, their client, their events. But ultimately, every event planner has a different amount of knowledge in terms of what a return on education or engagement or investment means. And often, when we get involved in a conversation, it'd be strange to say there's a bit of education, but there's a bit of helping event planners think beyond their initial involvement and experience and thinking about who else in their organisation and in which different parts might also want to take advantage of the information and the insight that you gather at event. So it might be marketing, it might be the customer services, it might be the leadership team, and often it's thinking about an event, there's a very clear, what does the audience think, what do they want, what do they do and how do they do it. But it's an ideal opportunity to actually collect all this other stuff that would be brilliant for the CRM or for the knowledge of the organisation.
Awesome. Okay, and how is EventTech Live Las Vegas 2024 working out for you thus far?
We're in this interesting mix of being a buyer and supplier. Right,
of course.
So clearly we're trying to find clients and customers. We can do that.
Aren't we all?
We can do that. We can do that. We're the ideal partners. But I use this as a brilliant opportunity to look at the technologies that are around the world, but with an eye which is, well, that's good, but I'm not sure they've actually thought through their full potential. And to actually think about, I've seen a couple of technologies where I think, well, if these guys were talking to those guys, and I could input some ideas on top of that, it would be a much better product or a much better deliverable. So I've got in my own head, I've got a few examples where I've said, okay, maybe I'll connect you with this company who's not even in EventTech Live, because I think between you, the value of collaboration with other tech partners might be more valuable than some of the options that they've got.
Yeah, creating a super, a super provider. Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Okay, cool. And so, I'm going to get you to put your thinking cap on here and your crystal ball, if I can. We've seen some changes in the event industry in the last 4 or 5 years, shall we say?
Yeah.
What do you think the next 12 to 18 months are going to look like? What can we expect?
Well, apart from saying the obvious AI.
Yes.
Right. Okay. But I think it is the obvious AI. But I think for me, it's about the application of AI towards personalization of events. Because we do a lot of events where we're actually trying to think of, you might have 1,200 people, but you have to think of the engagement journey of each individual, and you have to put yourself in the shoes of an individual in the sense of where are they, where did they come in, what are they thinking, what do they want, what does good look like, and then think about how do you design an event or a platform that allows that person, if they want to come on a Tuesday night at 3 o'clock in the morning and see it in blue and Greek, why shouldn't they be able to come in at that time and read the platform in Greek? Or if they're more visual, why shouldn't they be able to design a visual journey on a platform than the traditional block text and everything else? So for me, it's about how do you take the application of AI and how do you build it into platforms, but how do you give the user a voice in a way that allows people to personalize their own individual journey. So coming to event tech and trying to look at all the different apps that I've been using here, right, okay. So coming in and looking at all the different apps, it's kind of like, well, I almost need to build something on top of that to synthesize the information in a way that I can cope with because I'm more visual than whatever. And so I think for me, I'm quite excited. I've seen some of the applications of AI here, but I'm already thinking about how might I use AI that I haven't seen here to do some of the things that the ideas have stimulated.
You got any specifics that you can give away at this point? I think it's a really interesting idea to essentially create, in that example, 1,200 events. One for each different person, and that's not physically possible for one event organizer to do that. But with the support of AI, they can deliver that. Is there any? We talk about AI as this mythical metaverse being. Is there any specific tech that you can associate?
Well, I saw an example of floor planning.
Okay.
Right, and you think, okay, that's really good. Right, okay, you can kind of, like on Waze or Waze, you can plot your journey in the meeting, right, in the conference hall. Then you think, okay, if I can overlay AI on top of that to allow me to have a conversation with AI which says, I have some specific interests in technology or this or that, can you now overlay my understanding of what I'm interested in to direct my journey in this conference room?
Okay.
Rather than choosing stand A to stand B. Can you use this technology to tell me which stands you think I should go to? And use AI to say, well, I've now been at 2, am I going to the right stands? Well, now tell me which stand or 3 stands. But I might also think about AI and saying, I'm a bit bored, can you surprise me in this journey within this floor planner? Give me something that other people have gone to a lot and maybe has some good feedback. Okay. So give me examples of stands that I wouldn't actually go to, but user feedback has said, really cool guy or really cool lady on this stand, a really interesting story. So how can I use that floor planner to basically have a conversation with floor planner and agree between us where I go, rather than
genuinely create 1,200 different events.
And then say, today I want to only see new technology. I don't want to see existing platforms. I want to see the really cool startup stuff, or I want the surprising route, or I want the X or Y. And I'm sure it must exist, right?
Yeah.
It must exist. But that for me is the application of how do I want to do that? Because if I do that, and you use the same platform, you will be on different stands from me. Right?
Yeah.
And then if I have an interest in coffee, then my system should be saying, oh, hang on, there's coffee 2 stalls away and it's free. Right?
Okay.
Right, and things like that. And I think that's the more interesting stuff. You can do all that. It's a planner, it's a map, it's a whatever. But I think the interesting thing is how do I personalize it so it's my best friend?
Yeah, so interesting. I love that concept of using it to create individual engagement and individual use cases. That's really cool. Leslie, I feel we could talk for a while. So thank you very much.
That's okay.
And thank you to those of you at home watching.
Yeah, thank you.